There is a black oil stain under the back of your engine. Not a drip exactly, more of a smear that never quite dries. Your mechanic saw it last week and called you 2 days later with a number. $800 on the low end, $1,500 if the transmission gives him trouble coming out. He said it was your rear main seal. He said there was no other way. He has been saying that for 50 years. The rear main seal is a rubber ring that sits at the very back of your engine, right where the crankshaft exits to meet the transmission. The seal itself costs about $15 at any parts store in the country. The rubber ring, by itself, is one of the cheapest components in your entire drivetrain. But to replace it, a mechanic has to disconnect the drive shaft, support the engine from underneath, unbolt the transmission from the block, and slide the whole assembly back far enough to reach the seal behind it. On a rear-wheel drive truck, that is a 4 to 8 hour job depending on the vehicle. On anything with a complicated drivetrain or tight engine bay, it can cost more. The mechanic is not necessarily lying to you about the price. The labor is real. But what he is probably not telling you is that in many cases, maybe most cases of a slow rear main seal leak, you can fix this without pulling a single bolt. And you can do it for $3. I want to tell you something before we go further. Subscribe to this channel if you are not already subscribed, because what we cover here is not the kind of information you find by accident. It comes from digging, from old mechanics who remember what worked before the industry decided convenience was more profitable than knowledge. Hit that subscribe button now, and you will not miss what is coming next. Now, back to the seal. The rubber used in a modern rear main seal is a nitrile compound, sometimes called Buna N rubber, and it is an excellent material when it is new. It is flexible, it resists heat, and it holds oil pressure against a spinning crankshaft for hundreds of thousands of miles under the right conditions. But heat cycles are the enemy of nitrile rubber. Every time your engine warms up from a cold start and then cools back down overnight, the rubber in that seal expands slightly and then contracts. Do that 10,000 times over a decade of daily driving, and the seal loses its plasticizers, the chemical compounds that keep rubber pliable. It hardens, it shrinks. Not by much. Studies on seal degradation show that a seal losing 2 to 5% of its original diameter is enough to break the sealing contact between the rubber lip and the crankshaft surface. You do not need a torn seal. You do not need a cracked seal. You need a seal that has simply stopped being the right size. And that is a very different problem from what your mechanic is preparing to charge you to fix. Here is where the history starts, because this is not a new discovery, and the people who needed to bury it knew that before you did. The first commercial oil stop leak formulas appeared in American garages in the 1920s. Early versions were crude, literally. They were castor oil with ground nut shells suspended in it. The nutshell particles were supposed to flow to the leak point and clog it mechanically. It was a bad idea, and everyone eventually knew it. The particles clogged other parts of the engine too. They increased wear. They created their own problems faster than they solved the original one. Those formulas disappeared, and a lot of men who remembered them decided the whole category of stop leak products was nonsense and never looked twice at the shelf again. But here is what those men did not know, or maybe some of them did know and just never said it out loud. The castor oil in those old formulas was doing something the nutshells never did. Castor oil contains ricinoleic acid, a fatty acid that behaves differently from petroleum oil inside an engine. When ricinoleic acid contacts nitrile rubber, it penetrates the surface of the rubber and is absorbed into the elastomer matrix. It does not just sit on top. It goes in. And once it is inside the rubber, it restores some of the plasticizer content the rubber has lost to heat cycling. The rubber swells, but in a controlled way, not in the destructive way of the old petroleum distillate formulas that would swell a seal so aggressively it would extrude out of its groove and fail completely. Ricinoleic acid causes a 2 to 4% volume increase in nitrile rubber at operating temperature. For a seal that has shrunk by 2 to 4% over a decade of use, that is a restoration to original dimensions. Not a patch, not a plug, a return to factory spec. Cold-pressed agricultural castor oil, the kind sold in 1-liter bottles for around $3 at farm supply stores and online agricultural co-ops, contains ricinoleic acid at concentrations of 85 to 90% by weight. No synthetic additive on the market comes close to that concentration. The commercial seal conditioners on the automotive shelf dilute the active compound down and mark the price up because that is how the additive industry works. And the mechanism that makes castor oil effective on a dried rear main seal is not a secret in the chemistry world. It has been documented in industrial elastomer research going back to the 1960s. You can find it in academic papers on nitrile rubber degradation and plasticizer migration in high-temperature environments. It was never hidden. It was simply never advertised on the shelf of a store that also sells you the $1,400 alternative. The reason you have never heard a mechanic explain this to you is not because mechanics do not know. It is because a mechanic who explains this to you is also explaining why you do not need to spend $1,400 in his shop. I learned this from a man named Raymond Hollis, who ran a small independent shop outside of Decatur, Illinois for 31 years before he retired in 2014. I met him at an engine swap meet in Bloomington 2 years after he closed the shop. He was selling a stack of technical manuals he no longer had a use for, and he was the kind of man who wanted to talk about what was in them before he let them go. We stood next to his truck for about 2 hours. His shop had serviced the same farm families for 3 decades, and he said something to me that I have thought about since. He said the most honest thing a mechanic can do for a customer with a slow rear main leak is hand them a bottle of agricultural castor oil and tell them to add 2 ounces to their oil at the next change. He said he had done it exactly 4 times in 31 years, twice for elderly widows on fixed incomes whose trucks he could not bear to charge for, and twice for longtime customers he felt had been honest enough with him over the years to deserve honesty back. He said in 3 of those 4 cases, the leak stopped within a week of normal driving. In the 4th case, the seal was too far gone, physically cracked along the lip, and she needed the proper repair. But 3 out of 4, a $3 bottle. He had never told anyone else in the industry because there was no version of that story that helped him pay his rent. Raymond put me in touch with 2 other men after that conversation. One of them was a retired fleet mechanic named Dennis Curd, who had spent 22 years maintaining the truck pool for a grain co-op in central Indiana. At peak, Dennis was responsible for keeping 37 vehicles on the road, and he was doing it on a parts budget. His supervisor reviewed every quarter. He told me he started using agricultural castor oil in the late 1990s after reading about the ricinoleic acid mechanism in an industrial lubrication journal his co-op subscribed to for their equipment. Not an automotive publication, an agricultural equipment journal. Because the farmers running large machinery on tight margins had not forgotten what the automotive repair industry had quietly stopped talking about. Dennis said in his last 10 years at the co-op, he did not authorize a single rear main seal replacement on any vehicle showing slow seepage as its only symptom. He started the castor oil protocol first. If the leak stopped, he moved on. If it did not stop within 3 oil changes, he called for mechanical repair. He said he can only remember ordering that repair twice in a decade. Before we get to exactly how to do this, I want to take a moment because what Raymond described and what Dennis confirmed was not unusual. The pushback against castor-based seal conditioners has a specific and documented moment in time. In 2007, a regional auto parts chain operating across 6 states in the Midwest began stocking a small label product called Seal Bright that used a castor oil carrier as its primary active ingredient. The product was straightforward, and the label was honest about what it did. The company sold it for $4.99. It worked often enough that it started showing up in shop talk. Customers came in asking about it. Some customers stopped coming in at all for rear main seal jobs because they had tried Seal Bright and their leak had stopped. By early 2008, a coalition of independent repair shops in 2 states had formally complained to their state automotive trade associations, calling the product deceptive because it temporarily masked a mechanical failure. The word fraud appeared in trade association correspondence that year, not fraud against customers, fraud against the repair industry. Because a product that prevents a customer from needing a $1,400 repair is from a certain angle, taking money directly out of the shops that would have done that repair. Seal Bright was eventually pulled from that chain's shelves. Not because it did not work, not because it harmed any engine. The complaints were about consumer expectations, about whether a product should be allowed to position itself as an alternative to a mechanical repair. The trade association language was careful and legal and completely correct from a narrow liability perspective. And it worked. A product costing $5 with a real and documented mechanism for restoring shrunken nitrile seals disappeared from the shelves where the people who needed it most would have found it. I want you to understand what that means in practical terms. A rear main seal job at a shop in 2008 was running between $800 and $1,400 in most markets. The profit margin on that job, after parts and technician pay, was significant. Enough that a $5 product eliminating that job from the service menu was not a curiosity. It was a direct revenue threat. The trade associations that filed the complaints were not acting out of malice. They were acting out of financial self-interest, which is exactly what trade associations are designed to do. The problem is that their financial self-interest and your financial self-interest point in opposite directions on this particular question, and the association has more lawyers than you do. If you want to use this, here is exactly what Raymond Hollis told me, and what I have now used on my own 2007 Sierra with the slow weep behind the engine, and on my neighbor's 2004 F-150 that had been losing about a quart every 2,000 miles. You need agricultural grade, cold-pressed castor oil. Not pharmaceutical castor oil from the drugstore, which has been processed and filtered in ways that reduce the ricinoleic acid concentration. Not the clear, thin castor oil sold for hair products. You want the amber-colored, slightly viscous agricultural grade that you can find at farm supply stores or online from agricultural distributors. It will smell faintly earthy, and it will be darker and thicker than water, but thinner than honey. That is what you are looking for. The ratio Raymond used was 2 ounces of castor oil per quart of engine oil. For a standard 5-quart oil change, that is 10 ounces, which is 1 1/4 cups. You do not add it to old oil. You do your normal oil change, fill the crankcase with fresh oil, and then add the castor oil through the oil fill cap on top of the engine. Put the cap back on. Start the engine and let it idle for 20 minutes. The castor oil will circulate through the system immediately because it is fully miscible with standard motor oil and does not require any special conditions to blend. Then, drive normally. Within 3 to 7 days of regular driving, the ricinoleic acid in the castor oil will have had enough contact time with the rear main seal to begin the restoration process. Most slow leaks from a shrunken but otherwise intact seal will slow noticeably within the first week and stop completely within 2 to 3 weeks. You repeat this at every oil change, not just once. The conditioning effect of the ricinoleic acid is maintained as long as it is present in the oil, and it will be consumed over the course of 3,000 to 5,000 miles, just as any other additive would be. Men who have been doing this consistently, including Raymond and 2 other retired mechanics he put me in touch with, report rear main seals that have held without professional repair for more than 100,000 additional miles after starting the treatment. That is not a miracle. That is a shrunken rubber ring that was restored to its correct dimensions and has been maintained there ever since. Before I give you the failure cases, I want to address the mistakes I have watched people make with this technique, because I have gotten the messages from men who tried it and said it did not work. And in almost every case, one of three things happened. The first mistake is buying the wrong castor oil. Pharmacy-grade castor oil, the kind sold in a small brown bottle for digestive purposes, has been processed to remove the color and odor. That processing also reduces the ricinoleic acid concentration and introduces additives that are not compatible with motor oil. You need the raw agricultural grade from a farm supply store, a wool processing co-op, or an online agricultural distributor. The label will not necessarily say ricinoleic acid on it. What you are looking for is cold-pressed, unrefined castor oil in a bulk container. It should be amber to light brown in color, and it should smell faintly like a barn or a feed store. If it is clear and odorless, it has been refined, and you are not getting the compound that does the work. The second mistake is not waiting long enough. Men add the castor oil on a Saturday and check the garage floor Sunday morning and decide it failed. The ricinoleic acid needs heat cycles to penetrate the rubber. You need 3 to 7 days of regular driving, which means the engine getting fully up to operating temperature and cooling back down at least 5 or 6 times. The third mistake is doing it once and then stopping. This is maintenance, not a one-time repair. There are 2 cases where this will not work, and Raymond was clear about this. If your seal is physically cracked or torn, there is no chemistry in the world that will fix that. A crack is a structural failure, and it requires mechanical replacement. If your leak is a gusher, a running drip that soaks the underside of the transmission while the engine is running, that is also beyond what castor oil can address. The tool for determining which situation you have is a clean rag and a flashlight. Wipe the area around the back of the engine block where it meets the transmission. Wait 24 hours. Look again. A slow weep that takes days to form a small spot under the vehicle is a shrunken seal candidate. Oil actively running while the engine is on is a different problem. If you are watching this and you are the kind of person who shares information like this with someone who needs it, do that right now. There is somebody in your life with an aging truck and a repair estimate sitting on the kitchen table. Send them this video, and if you have not subscribed yet, subscribe now. We put out content on this channel for people who believe that the information to keep your vehicle running is not proprietary to the shop that wants to fix it. That is the whole point of what we do here. There is one more layer to this story that I want to give you, because Raymond mentioned it and I went looking for it afterward and found it. The reason commercial stop leak products moved away from castor oil toward petroleum distillates in the 1970s and 1980s had nothing to do with efficacy. The real reason is that petroleum-based carriers could be patented in unique formulations, while a natural agricultural oil could not. A formula built around ricinoleic acid from castor oil is not protectable in any meaningful legal sense because the active compound exists in nature, and its mechanism on rubber elastomers had been documented in academic literature for decades. A formula built around novel petroleum, distillates, and synthetic polymers can be protected, branded, and sold at 8 times the cost of the agricultural equivalent. The seal conditioner aisle at your auto parts store has products that work, some of them. The chemistry in the better ones operates on the same principle as castor oil, but you are paying for patents and branding and retail markup. The agricultural co-op has the same active chemistry at 5% of the price, and nobody has